Everybody, Jake and Gino here. And on our previous video, we were talking good money habits. We got the G-Dad coming in hot this week, talking about goals. Gino, how you doing?
Jake, this is one of my favorite lessons, one of my favorite topics to talk about, because I would not be here with Jake Stenziano right now if it wasn't for goal setting. Bottom line, everybody, if you don't set goals, you're not going to know where you need to go. Proper planning prevents piss poor performance. Let me say that again, everybody. Proper planning prevents piss poor performance. Now, you may be saying, how do I set goals? I've never done it before. Guess what? About 90% plus of the people in this country don't set goals. The ones who do, those are the ones who are vastly more successful. Let's start out with the framework that I've used over the last 15 years to set goals. Jake and I like to call this the SMART system, the acronym. I want everyone to write that down. SMART. The first one, S, is be specific. What are you trying to achieve? Let me give you an example. When I was leaving my restaurant job, what did I want? I always said, I don't want to be at the restaurant. That's not specific. What do I want to do? Chunk it down and be specific. For me, it was getting into multifamily real estate and start building a business that way. So the S, when you're setting a goal, be specific with that goal. The next one, M, measurable. This is another great quote that I want you to write down. If you can't measure it, then you can't manage it. If you can't measure your goal, if you're saying, I want to do something by some period of time, and there's no way to measure it, there's no way to track it, how do you know if you've been successful or not? You need to measure that goal. The next one, A, achievable. Listen, if you're working a W-2 job making 30 grand a year, and you're saying to yourself, I want to make $1 million in passive income in the next 12 months, probably not achievable. You need to be passionate about your goals, but if you have no chance of achieving that goal, are you really going to work towards it? Work towards goals that are achievable. The next one, R, reasonable. Is it reasonable for you to be able to accomplish that goal? Just like that A, achievable. You need to set goals that are reasonable. The last one is T, time. There needs to be a specific time. By December 25th, 2021, I need to have this goal done. Put a time frame on it, because time is of the essence. What happens is if it's open-ended, your subconscious is going to be telling itself, hey, I have plenty of time. I don't really have to worry about it. I don't have to work on it. If you put a time frame on it, you will achieve it. Now, let me share a couple of docs before I let Jake jump in here. We have a weekly planner that I use. This is blank. This is going on next week. 7 days. Yes, I put 7 days because Saturday and Sunday I do things also. And I have weekly wins here. So if you want a copy of this, email me, gino@jakeandgino.com. The other thing is we have the yearly planners too. These are all 4 quarters broken down. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. I have stuff like refis, buy properties. I have income goals. I have, goals for each different entity. So you have to write these things down and to be able to manage them. Now, one last thing. If you like this content, smash the like button down below. Subscribe to the Jake and Gino channel. Back to you, Mr. Stenzi.
So I break this down into 2 camps, and that's just a great introduction there, Gino, because you're all multifamily entrepreneurs out there looking to invest, set your businesses up for success. So 1, we have the business goals, and 2, we have the personal goals. So how do we do it? Gino laid the framework for SMART goals. That's the framework, but you got to divide them into 2 camps. That's how we set our lives up. So number 1, you have the business goals, or what we like to call quarterly priorities. First step to setting quarterly priorities, you set the meeting, a reoccurring meeting every quarter before the current quarter ends, and then you're going to set the next quarterly priorities for the future. What we failed at in the beginning was Gino and I are kind of like Rambo. We have the red bandanas on, and we go out spraying the machine gun. What we realized is we were freaking our teams out, and we need to scale it back, get laser focused, use the SMART goals or priorities. Again, priority or goal, anything over 8 hours. Below that is a task, okay? So we set that up. We go, we blast it out. We have 3 to 5 per quarter that are going to move the business forward. We reverse engineer, and we break them down into tasks. So if Gino is going to go out and start a new division of the company, he's going to start a vertical where he's doing laundry in-house. We've kind of been entertaining that. Well, what does that look like? That may be the quarterly priority, but there's going to be a series of cascading tasks below that that are going to get done, basically reverse engineering it to get to the end of the quarter and maybe hit the goal. And maybe it's a 2-quarter goal, but remember he talked about having that timely factor in there. That's going to be that. Now, Gino mentioned too, I always use this card stock. That's going to be the personal goals. Every morning, I have these really, we call them our BHAGs or whatever. I write them down every morning.
Big, hairy, audacious goals.
Thank you,
Write
sir.
that down, everybody.
Yeah.
Big, hairy, audacious goals. You need to have them. They need to be achievable and reasonable, but they need to be really out there where you can stretch. And if you don't get to them, it's okay because you get to here, but at least you're getting to here and not getting to here. Right, Jake?
Correct. And so the same thing, I have these 3 that I'm working on, and then I break them down here in various ways, but a lot of them are actually they're intertwined because when you're an entrepreneur, your business, there's a lot of bleed over between the personal and the business.
Mm-hmm.
The BHAG for me is I want to become the Chick-fil-A of apartments. That's broken down into our customer journey and our quarterly plans. Essentially, I want to deliver that Chick-fil-A type level customer experience for our folks that are living in our apartment homes. Also, there's a pride of ownership thing where I'm working on this large scale exterior improvement plan because I want, regardless if it's a $900 apartment or a $1,500 apartment, I want that quality to appear from the minute the folks land on our property. So that's another thing that's a BHAG that I'm working on. Because look, we bought some properties from the 1960s, we've bought some properties from 2010. Regardless, I want them all to show with that same quality. And then there's also, look, we're looking to have $1 billion of assets under ownership, because essentially a lot of our stuff we just own internally. Those are some BHAGs that I have, and I'm working towards those in various ways. So GDAD, sorry I went a little long, but you got to break it down into your 2 camps.
Love that. Let me pull the e-brake. Before you do any of this stuff, we need to set values. What are your values? If you don't have values, then you don't know how to set your goals properly, because goals are your objectives plus your beliefs and your values. So let me give you an example. I leave the restaurant. I want to spend weekends home with my family. I don't want to be on the road all the time, but Jake and Gino starting to pick up. If my value is to be a great father and to be home with my kids at nighttime, and then all of a sudden my boy Josh has gotten me traveling every weekend, I may be hitting the goal of being a successful entrepreneur and growing an amazing business, but that doesn't align with my core values. And what happens? You may hit your goals, but you're not going to hit that fulfillment. So be very careful before you start setting your goals. You have to set your values. And that's why Jake and I, we have an amazing partnership, because we have our core values aligned. We have what we call value-based decision-making. So setting your goals, first thing, start with your values. The other thing I want to say, goals are the end result. You have to fall in love with the process or the system to achieve those goals. That's the most important thing. It's not hitting the goal that is the most important thing, everybody. You need to be able to hit something. What's more important is the person you are going to become once you hit that goal. And that's the entrepreneur's journey, what I call those inflection points as you're hitting goals. Enjoy that climb to the mountain. Don't do what Gino did. I had an amazing thing when I was leaving the restaurant. I left my small business and became an amazing entrepreneur. I've had a great journey. At points, I didn't enjoy that journey because I was so worried about achieving those goals. Worry about the person you're going to become to hit those goals. Keep moving the bar higher and higher and higher, and you become more of an amazing person as you achieve those goals.
Final note today. The way you do that, the way you enjoy the journey, is by creating the right culture with the right team. People, systems, and culture. Having the right people with you and the right machine behind it will make the journey enjoyable. And that's the trick to all this.
Love you, Mr. Stenzi. Next week, we're talking all about money. All of a sudden, that energy changed. When I say that word money, we're going to be talking about what is money, right? Down below, any comments, please leave them from us. Smash that like button. Mr. Stenzi, I'll see you next week, brother.
Thanks, G-Dad.